A little while ago, we looked at 10 bosses from the 16-bit era that seemed destined to live on in our pixely nightmares. The SNES and the Mega Drive and other consoles from that generation proved to be an abundant source of obscenity, revulsion, unease, and disgust, and we were able to present you with a smorgasbord of unsightly foes to satisfy your appetite for unpleasantness. Well, we had so much fun dredging through the depths of 16-bit depravity that we decided to take another dive. We dusted off our cartridges and AV cables, probed our memories, and trawled through even more unnerving video game sequences, all in the hopes of providing another host of retro horrors worthy of your attention. Prepare yourselves then for another heaped helping of disgusting specimens as we once again explore the vilest creatures that gaming has to offer. I'm Peter from TripleJump, and here are 10 more disturbing 16-bit video game bosses. Number 10. Loki, Ghouls and Ghosts. 1989's Ghouls and Ghosts invited players to step back into the flimsy armor of heroic knight Arthur as it once again falls upon him to save his beloved princess. Infamous for its difficulty, Ghouls and Ghosts throws an absolute legion of grisly enemies at the player, demanding razor-sharp reactions from anyone hoping to survive for more than a few minutes. There are quite a few nasty bosses too, but the one we find the most unsettling is Loki, the big bad of the piece. Known as Lucifer in certain versions of the game, this devilishly powerful fellow leads the creatures of the demon realm. He launches a surprise raid on the princess's kingdom, extracting her soul and the souls of her devoted villagers. Loki's appearance is as unfriendly as you might expect. His gigantic, screen-filling form looms over poor Arthur as he stares with pupil-less eyes and an unsettling grin. Apparently formed of skinless muscle and sinew, Loki sees Arthur as such an inconsequential pest that he doesn't even bother to get up out of his throne to fight him. Ugh, terrifying and impolite. I couldn't think of a worse combination. Number 9. Sniper Honey Viper, Alien Soldier. Alien Soldier is a treasure-developed run-and-gun shooter with a heavy emphasis on boss fights. Multi-phase complex encounters are the order of the day, with the non-boss level sections basically amounting to short periods of downtime. With so many bosses on show then, you might expect at least one of them to be suitable for this list. And sure enough, that is the case. The creature in question is Sniper Honey Viper. Now, I don't know about you, but if I saw those words come up on screen before a boss fight, I'd probably be expecting to face off against some kind of deadly, long-barreled, rifle-wielding femme fatale. This was the 1990s, after all. Imagine my confused emotions then when this horror appeared instead. As the creature hauls its unsightly mass onto the screen, it flails an unsettling appendage from an opening that seems to be formed of pus and scab tissue. Its twisted face is contorted into an expression that could be rage, fear, euphoria, or a combination of all three, and its dangling proboscis makes it look like some sort of flood-infected Pinocchio. Oh, and it spawns huge bugs from somewhere. This is horrible. Can we move on? Number 8 can't possibly be as bad as number 9, surely. Number 8. Cheshire Cat, The Adventures of Batman and Robin. If you're a fan of all things cute and fluffy, you might be surprised to find a big furry boy on this list. Bear with us though, as we believe this not-so-friendly feline might help you see things from a mouse's point of view. The Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Mega Drive was one of a few games with the same title released across multiple platforms between 1994 and 1995. The Cheshire Cat, however, turns up only in the Mega Drive version. This gigantic metallic monstrosity looms over poor Batman and stares at its prey with unblinking predatory glee. Using well-known feline hunting techniques, such as causing debris to fall from above and shooting fiery beams from its eyes, what really turns this bad kitty into a truly unpleasant encounter is that unflinching grin. Worst of all is that in order to defeat the Cheshire Cat, you have to shoot at the only part of it that still retains any cat-like cuteness: its little blue nose. Still, once you've filled its nasal cavity with enough batarangs, its entire face falls off, revealing the cold robotic form within. That should alleviate any guilt brought on by pelting a kitty with razor-sharp projectiles. Number 7. Crawler, Demon's Crest. 1994 SNES platformer Demon's Crest actually has links to the previously discussed Ghouls and Ghosts. Players take on the role of Firebrand, an enemy character from the Ghosts and Goblins series, in a struggle for power within the demon realm. All this demon-on-demon combat is sure to throw up some opportunities for gruesome boss encounters, and Demon's Crest does not disappoint. From the undead dragon Samulo to Dark Demon, the unlockable final battle, there are plenty of intimidating foes to sharpen your demonic claws on. None of them make us quite so queasy as Crawler, though. Looking like a toothy mass of melted skin or Pizza the Hut on a really bad day, this unsightly abomination slithers through a tight corridor before rearing up to its full height, revealing a ghoulish red eye and a hideous tooth-filled maw. What's worse than a hideous crawling mass of festering skin and teeth, though? One that can produce smaller, hideous crawling masses at will. Crawler will lob projectiles that form into what can only be described as fleshy, saggy slug babies, which shuffle towards you with evil intent. Once Crawler has been defeated, it will sink into the ground, leaving behind a sought-after treasure known as the Crest of Water. I disinfected before I went anywhere near it, though. Powerful artifact or not, hygiene is important. Number 6. Zabel Far. I've literally never heard this name said out loud before. Seiken Densetsu 3. A sequel to classic SNES RPG Secret of Mana, Seiken Densetsu 3, more commonly known in the West as Trials of Mana, was never officially released outside of Japan. Well, not in its SNES guise at least, but we'll get to that. What Western gamers at the time missed out on was an action RPG with improved gameplay over its predecessor and some of the best 16-bit graphics yet seen. Oh, and a few interesting boss encounters, too. The game follows the adventures of a number of characters as they attempt to save the world and the magical life force known as mana that resides within it. One entity that stands in their way is Incarnation of Darkness and Disaster, Zabel Far, which I don't think is how a Japanese person would read those words, let's face it. The player battles this three-headed freak on a platform suspended in some kind of constantly shifting, nausea-inducing void. At first, only two giant disembodied heads hover above the protagonists, battering them with powerful spells. The third, and arguably most disturbing head, materializes soon afterwards. This Harley Quinn-like visage is oddly beautiful until it casts a spell and goes full shrieking terror mode. These floating horrors were recently recreated in 3D for the 2020 remake. If anything though, they're probably less effective. In this case at least, it seems that 2D is superior after all. Number 5. Gluttony, ActRaiser 2. Side-scrolling platformer ActRaiser 2 was released for the SNES back in 1993. Players take on the role of the Master, who must combat Big Bad Tanzra and his minions across various planes of the underworld. The game includes many intimidating foes, including a cloud-riding skeleton, Fatigue, and ominous floating automaton thing, Pride. We've chosen Gluttony, however, because it's a big, gross bug, and no one likes big, gross bugs. Not even big, gross bugs' mums like big, gross bugs. Encountered at the end of the Demon's Cave level, this grim scorpion beetle creature has a disturbingly human-like face. It drops down out of its cocoon as the player enters its lair and attempts to ensnare our hero with its serrated mouth parts, complete with gruesome extending mandibles. The whole encounter takes place in a shadowy chamber that's lined with hundreds of unsettling spherical objects arrayed as far as the eye can see. Upon closer inspection, these are likely to be insect eggs just waiting to hatch additional chitinous monstrosities. However, they also somewhat resemble, and brace yourselves for this now, Brussels sprouts. Oh, sorry, we all knew things would get horrific on this list, but I do apologise for making them that horrific. Oh. Number 4. Profound Darkness, Phantasy Star 4. Released in 1993 in its native Japan and popping up in Europe and the US 2 years later, Phantasy Star 4 was a continuation of Sega's spacefaring fantasy RPG series. Known for its epic stories that meld interstellar travel with magical spells and medieval weaponry, the Phantasy Star games haven't shied away from a cosmic horror or two in the past. Its fourth installment brings us the very ominously named Profound Darkness. Billions of years old, this interstellar entity spent a big chunk of its time sealed in another dimension, returning to the mortal realm every 1,000 years to cause disaster. Once protagonist Chaz and his party of space heroes discover the existence of the Profound Darkness, they enter its interdimensional prison where they face off against the ancient terror in its various forms. And what forms they are! The first form is a twisted hulk of gaping mouths and blood-red eyes. The second is an armored monstrosity decorated with twitching fangs. And the third form adds an uncanny female figure and grasping crab-like appendages. We honestly think the first form is the worst, though. There's nothing quite like a grotesque amalgamation of staring eyes, grasping mouths, and timeless, unknowable alien intellect to make the old space madness set in. Just ask H.P. Lovecraft. Only ask him about that, though. You don't want to know his opinions on some other things. Number 3. Scorpius, Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball. If you've never played Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball before, you're probably questioning our sanity right now. After all, 16-bit Sonic bosses are often cool and occasionally intimidating, but disturbing? Not likely. Those who have played Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball, however, are currently nodding sagely. That, or staring into the middle distance, lost in traumatic memories of bulbous black eyes and agonized screeching, but we'll get to that. Released for the Mega Drive in 1993, this pinball-themed Sonic the Hedgehog spin-off mixes a platformer with bumper-based ball thwacking to interesting effect, and also features Dr. Robotnik at his most stark raving bonkers. You see, he's built a fortress on top of a volcano for some reason, and the fortress's defenses take on the form of gigantic pinball tables. Also, for some reason. Robotnik really puts the mad in Mad Scientist with Scorpius, though. It's a robotic fusion between a scorpion and Robotnik's own ugly mug. This surprisingly unpleasant amalgamation perches at the top of the toxic caves, dripping poisonous goop from its stinger and grinning ghoulishly. Worst of all, judging by Scorpius's hideous squeals as Sonic attacks, Robotnik has programmed the thing with the ability to feel pain. Seriously, this man is in desperate need of therapy. Number 2. X-Death and Neo X-Death, Final Fantasy V. Originally released on the SNES back in 1992, Final Fantasy V brought RPG fans yet another sweeping fantasy epic to sink their teeth into. The story follows protagonist Bart, who starts his adventure investigating meteorite impacts and crystal shrines, but soon becomes embroiled in a bitter fight for existence against an evil entity known as X-Death. Initially encountered as a robed warlock, X-Death is revealed to be a singular sentience that formed within a tree that had been used to seal away countless evil spirits. Players eventually do battle with X-Death in a void between worlds, where he's seen in his true demonic tree-like form. A gigantic mass of twisted bark with a horrific snarling face, this version of X-Death apparently seeks power for power's sake. However, once this manifestation is defeated, you'll find that this eldritch tree intends to, branch out. Neo X-Death is X-Death after being swallowed by the void. Essentially a whole host of profane demonic figures merged into one terrifying galactic entity, Neo X-Death has fully succumbed to rage, evil, and madness, and wishes to end all existence. Luckily, some great heroes from the past, known as the Dawn Warriors, appear to help Bartz and his pals get to the root of the problem, and they're able to chop down this maniacal maple once and for all. I sure hope that as he died, someone remembered to put on their action hero shades and just say, timber. And number 1, the Vortex Queen, Echo the Dolphin. Echo the Dolphin was a pretty big deal back in 1992. It gave gamers the unique opportunity to play as a graceful and friendly dolphin named Echo, and even frolic playfully in the ocean with his dolphin friends. For a while, that is. Things quickly take a surprising and unsettling turn when all nearby aquatic life is suddenly sucked up through a giant water spout, leaving poor Echo alone in a barren sea. What follows is a journey that spans the oceans of the present and the past, as Echo seeks out various wise creatures that might be able to help him discover what happened to his pod. Not everyone will get that far, however. Thanks to the game essentially being one big water level, which we all love, Echo the Dolphin is really hard. Also, if you do reach the end, the Vortex Queen is waiting for you there. That's right, the cause of Echo's troubles is an enormous voracious alien queen whose species comes to Earth every 500 years to suck up all of the tasty seafood. Dreadful and completely unfathomable, the Vortex Queen's giant insectoid head emerges from the darkness of her extraterrestrial lair, her massive jaw opening and closing as she attempts to swallow up our bottle-nosed buddy like an enormous piece of sushi. I think I echo the sentiments of everyone when I say, kill it with fire, oh wait, fire won't work underwater, kill it with specially upgraded sonar blasts.